Hello. Right, for those of you that don't know, this weekend has been absolutely epic. I went to the Lorcana Fest big event at Axion, 165 player tournament. It was absolutely massive, and I have had a career successful result. I came second. How crazy is that? I've been absolutely buzzing ever since, and I'm so happy with my performance. I think the event was ran fantastically by Axion. I met some wonderful players and everyone's been so supportive and so kind. I've received so many messages saying well done, saying that they tuned in, saw the games live on Spessie's channel, and it's been really overwhelming emotionally, but it's felt so good. It's the support from the Lorcana community has been unreal. So from me, a big massive thank you to everyone who shows some support. It really motivates me to do more tournaments, and I'm really looking forward to see what I can cook up for the set champs coming up in set 8. Now, deck. I went for a different deck than usual. I'm starting to become a little bit of a chameleon and my decks are changing up. I was always gung-ho on Ruby South. That was my number one deck. I started to dabble a little bit into Ruby Amethyst, but I did like control. I was having a little bit of a crisis coming into this tournament because of a certain deck that was appearing. Hamster. Yeah. Rhino, the shift line, and Amber Steel aggro was causing me so many problems. I was prepping really hard on Ruby Amethyst and it really felt like the deck to go for. It's running really smoothly at the minute. And as much as I didn't have too many changes from the original set 7 build that I was running, it just seemed to be working. It was confident in so many matchups. At CCS, Kendall Burdett, no I'm not, he had a fantastic run with his Ruby Amethyst build and it looked really strong. And I think it could have been a strong set for this tournament too. I did see quite a lot of Ruby Amethyst there as well. But as I predicted, there was also a lot of quicker decks. And this is where I think my deck started to shine. So I went for Emerald Amethyst. Now this deck was a bit of a fever dream for me. I don't have as much experience as I would have liked on the deck. It's a new concept to me. I'm used to playing control and being the slow one and waiting, having that slow burner of a game. But this time, I was one who was putting my foot on the pedal a little bit. When I turned up to the event at the start of the day, I didn't have a great first round matchup. I saw one of my friends that I played against in round 1 and he absolutely slaughtered me. And conveniently, he was also on Ruby Amethyst. After that match, I felt a little bit down in the dumps and I thought, you know what, maybe this was a bad choice for today. But I had a mental reset, I went outside, I rethought about my lines and I thought, what's going wrong? And I thought, no, it doesn't matter. You've got a brand new deck, you've got a good attitude, you can do this, just enjoy the day. And I think that was the key for me doing so well in this event. Just letting go of that stress and saying to myself, just enjoy it. After I came back in, I went straight into my round 2 match and I had an Emerald Steel discard deck. Now, it started off a little bit bad. I did lose the first set in that, but I had a little bit of a think and I thought back to some of the previous matches I've saw with Emerald Amethyst players against Emerald Steel. And once again, it's putting your foot down and racing them. It's something that's been really hard for me to get used to as a control player, being that aggro player, being the one to say, go on, you chase me. I'll do the work, it's your job to catch me up, instead of the other way around. And when I turned that around, that's when I started seeing some success. I took the other 2 games off him and it was quite comfortable. And then throughout the day, I just found that I kept winning. I had a really great Purple Steel matchup. I had some absolute slaughter fests against Ruby Sapphire, where the deck just felt so dominant. Curse Merfolk popped off like crazy. And everything just seemed to go as well as physically possible, which is what I really liked here. Now, I was a little bit blown away when I found out that I got into the quarterfinals. I felt a little bit of imposter syndrome. I almost thought, do I deserve to be here? This is a massive tournament. Now, don't get me wrong. I think I'm a good player. I've had some really good results. I started Lorcana in set 4, midway through, and I started off with a hyper aggro deck. It was Dwarfs, and it did not work whatsoever, but I improved and I worked on it. The next set, I managed to take home some champion mats. The set after that, some champion mats. And then this set, I came away with plenty of top 4 finishes, a first place finish and some top 8s as well. Running 4 different decks, which was great for me. Really good. Right, okay, I get it. You're not here to hear about my set 7 success. What you want to hear about is the deck that came second at Axion. And I don't blame you, because it's a good deck and I really like it. The deck's doing really well at the minute in quite a lot of tournaments. I had a little look on Ink decks once I got in from work today, and I saw that Emerald Amethyst is having a lot of success. the more tempo, the more mid-grow style decks are really popping off. And I think speed is the key to success in set 8. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my list up behind me. I'm going to have a little look through that. I'm going to talk you through my card counts. I'm going to talk you through why certain cards are in the deck. And then I'm going to explain how some of the lines work together. And we'll go from there. Maybe at the end of the video, I can do a little bit of a catch up about my quarters, my semis and my finals match. And one thing I do want to say though, is a big, massive shout out to my opponent in the finals. You'll be able to see that match on Spessie's channel if you tune into it. He live streamed the whole event. If you go right to the very end, you'll see us playing at the depths of dark, playing at 10:30, 11 p.m. We were both knackered. But the guy was amazing. I've played against him in a tournament before, and honestly, he just absolutely outclassed me. So a big well done to him. But let's get to the deck. Hey, would you look at that? That's quite the deck if I do say so myself. Admittedly, I don't know which side I'm going to edit the video on, so it may be the deck's over there, but the deck might be over there. We're taking a guess, and I'm hoping it's that side, otherwise I look a little bit stupid. But we don't judge, we move on. Now, anyway, as you can see, this is the deck. I know, it seems a little bit weird, and it's got some odd counts on it. I can appreciate that. My normal deck building philosophy is having 4 counts of everything. I like the consistency. However, this feels a little bit more like a toolbox variant. And I think with any deck that you're going for a toolbox style on, green-purple is the one to do it. I know, it's odd, but let me walk through it and I'll tell you where I'm thinking for certain cards. So, for Diablo, of course I'm going to have that in my deck. I think that's such an essential card in any Amethyst deck at the minute. It was always a case in Amethyst that Chernobog and Brooms was your go-to combo. They're good, but I don't think they're great, which is part of the issue. With Chernobog, I feel like I'm losing tempo on the board straight away because it's quest and it's gone. Yes, you get the card for it, which is great, but either way with Diablo, you've got that card. With Chernobog, the turn 1 is nice, but when I draw it later in the game, it just seems a little bit useless. Whereas with Diablo, I can stick it on the field, I've got the bounce option to get a Fox out later on, but I'm always guaranteed to get that card after it's popped, and it's really, really beneficial. We, of course, have to remember the best way to use Diablo, Merlin Crab. What a legend. We love a bit of Crab. Now, sometimes, if there's threats on the board, I will just leave my Diablo up and then I've got the Merlin Crab to come down. Additionally, it's a nice little threat because when you're not questing for Diablo, people are going to assume that you're going to do it. So they tend to not exert as much and you can make them a little bit more hesitant. But either way, being able to boost your Crab up to 3 strength, take out a character and get draw from it feels really, really useful. That's the thing. Chernobog, Broom, you don't get that benefit. You don't take out the character with it. So it feels like you're on the back foot a little bit. Whoo! Curse Merfolk. Hello, Green. What would I ever do without you? Curse Merfolk is nuts. Let me be flat out clear on that. Loads of people drop Merfolk for ages. I know Zan was running it at one point and everyone was kind of like, oh yeah, it's quick, but it's all right. No, it's a great card. It puts people under so much pressure. And when I saw Ruby Sapphire, they hated it whenever I dropped down Merfolk. In my quarterfinals match, my opponent saw me put down 2 Merfolk together and he was like, seriously, where are you getting them? And I was like, I know. I had to suffer through Merfolk when I was a Ruby South player, so I know how annoying it is. It's not much of a card. It's a 0-1, but when you challenge into it, you have to discard a card. I feel like I'm in such a comfortable position with a faster deck when my opponent doesn't have any cards in their hand. It really, really helps. I played against a green-purple player at the weekend, and they were running the discard package. Now, I played a little bit weird against them because I almost sat back a little bit just to make sure I had enough resources. But once I was able to cook all of theirs and I got through all their Diablos, they didn't really have any card draw left. They got to a point where they just didn't have any cards. And as Elmeister would say, I went vroom vroom. At that point, I sped up and they just couldn't do anything and couldn't catch up with me. That's the big benefit to cards like Curse Merfolk. You're forcing your opponent to challenge into it. Okay, yeah, sure, they're not taking damage back. Yes, they can run into it straight away. You might lose it. Most of the time, you're as a minimum getting 2 lore out. If they've got the brawl, fine. They have to use their resource. If they use Storm, if they use Strength, okay, fine. But they're using it on a 1-cost character. That's not great for them, but it is for you. You don't care about a 1-cost. You're making them use their better cards on a card that doesn't really matter that much. We've also got 4 copies of Pegasus. Okay, I know. Who's running Pegasus? Nobody's seen it since set 3. Yeah, I have to agree with you. It's a bit of an odd choice. But it's also not. Pegasus is so nice as an early evasive character, mainly because people don't have evasives at the beginning. Yes, in steel matchups, they're probably going to have an answer straight away for it, but for the rest of the matchups, it can stick on the board for quite a while. Now, on top of this, the thing I really like about Pegasus is the threat of a shift line. Of course, I'm not actually running the shift line in my deck, but the amount of times I heard at the weekend, is he running shift? No. But it makes you pause and question. With Shift Pegasus, the big benefit is you shift it in and all your characters get evasive. That can be really difficult for some players to deal with if they don't have much of an evasive package. Yes, some of the new Ruby Amethyst style decks, which are all on the evasive style from set 7, they can deal with it fine, but a lot of them can't. I played against a Ruby Amethyst player who's playing the traditional style. Great guy, really liked him, we got on really well. I'm looking forward to doing some more games with him. But one of the things he said to me was, it was really hard to deal with the evasive characters in your deck. And I've not got many, to be fair, but Pegasus just sat there and there was nothing they could do about it. You know, yes, okay, they might get a pan down, okay, a genie could tape it out, but if you're taking it out with a genie, you're not questing, and that's better for me as well. On top of it, we've also got the benefit, same as Diablo, of I can run a crab with it. Boosting up to 4 strength for an evasive character is absolutely nuts. And if I've got my Pan Shadow Finder down on the field, with Rush, 4-1 is crazy. Just being able to play with a 1 cost along with your crab. It's great tempo to me. I really like that. And then we've got the 2 copies of Rafiki Mystical Fighter. This card I'm not sure on. I'll be honest, I'm generally not sure about it. It didn't perform the way I wanted it to at the weekend. It kind of felt a bit meh. A lot of the time it sat upright because I didn't want a quest and then lose the benefit of it. If they challenge into it, they're getting rid of something which could be useful really easily. And it just kind of felt the same as Captain Hook does when you're playing it with Smee. You know, it's nice, it does a bit of damage, but it also doesn't do much at the same time. So Rafiki, I think I might cut in the future. The whole idea was I just wanted to have a little bit of extra control with the deck, being able to take out some cards from my opponent, which is quite useful. But yeah, like I say, it was fine, but not great. I think potentially the 2 cost evasive Diablo might be something I swap that out for. That card seems really nice for me. You get better challenger with it, and it's evasive, so it could fit really well in the deck. You've additionally got the Ursula card that No I'm Not has been running in his deck. Loads of people played that the weekend. That's starting to become quite popular again, but it just stays on the board a little bit longer. Unfortunately, 0-2 doesn't do much here. And okay, it's only a 1 cost. Maybe that's the benefit compared to a 2 cost. But do I need it? I'm not sure I do. So I'm going to be playing around with that one. Now, moving on to the 2 costs. I've got 1 copy of Madam Mim Snake. Mad, right? Why am I running 1 copy? This is so against my normal deck building ethos that it almost doesn't make sense to me. I've always been on the lines of 4 copies of everything. I always say to anyone that I coach, anyone that I play against, anyone who asks me for my opinions on decks, if a card isn't good enough to have 4 copies in your deck, why are you running it? You want consistency. You want to be able to see it when you can. So I don't always agree with this toolbox style, which I've gone with, but I kind of needed it. Now, there is reasons for it. There is, honestly. Because I'm running Madam and Fox, yes, that bounce is brilliant. She can attack. She does so much. She's such a brilliant card. But I'm limited only having 4 cards that can bounce. There's certain cards that I want to be able to return to my hand, get better use of. Cards like Go-Go to Margot. That card was so clutch. So many games I was starting to fall behind and I couldn't get my aggro package off. But I let them challenge into my board. They built up damage. I then slammed down the Go-Go and I'm back in the game. Or I'm putting myself in a position where they can no longer catch me, which is fantastic. I really like that. But the big issue with Go-Go is once she's on the board, she sucks. She's so bad. Quest for 1, it's a 2-2. It's not really a great character. I like to hold on to the Go-Go for the right time to use it. Sometimes it ends up in the ink. The benefit of Snake being a 2 cost, I can play down my Go-Go for 2 to gain the lore total for the damage that's on the character. That's 4 spent so far. I can then Snake to bring Go-Go back into my hand, and that's 6 ink, which is a total I can get to in my deck. I'm absolutely fine to get to 6. For me on this deck, I'm arguably looking to get to between 6 and 9 ink. I'm not going to go any further than that. 9 seems a little bit drastic, but there's some bigger cards later in the deck, so you'll see why. We've got 3 copies of Flynn Rider, Charmin Rogue. I borrowed these cards for the weekend. It wasn't something I wanted in the deck to begin with, but similar to Cursed Merfolk, you're forcing your opponent to discard a card when they challenge into it, which is great. An opponent with no cards is not a threat. Questing for 2 does a lot of damage. Being able to get that temper swing of going Merfolk into Flynn, they've got to put a lot into getting rid of those cards, and they're really, really messing themselves up. Once again, if they're wasting a brawl on it, I don't care. That's great for me. I'd rather they use it on that than my genie that's coming later on. But the 2 questing is absolutely nuts. Said already, the Go-Go Tamago, got 3 copies of that in the deck. I'm teasing around with a 4th copy for it. I do think it has its uses, but also it can be a little bit bricky in your hand. There's not a lot of times I want to see it, because sometimes when the opponents are playing against green, if they have a bit of knowledge of the deck, they expect the Go-Go to happen. I played against a purple steel player who was running Madam Mim Elephant, and the big issue I had was that was her kind of challenging character. It caused me issues because I didn't want to challenge into it, because I have low willpower characters. She could then move the damage across 2 counters at the start of her turn and then take out some of my smaller characters like Merfolk or Flynn Rider. I don't get the benefit from them then, which could be a little bit annoying. So I had to wait till I found better options to be able to utilise the Go-Go on, but she just kept that Madam Mim Elephant upright, and it caused me threats the whole way through the game. So something you need to be careful of. We've also got 4 copies of Ursula Deceiver. My God, she ruined people's days at the weekend. She's great. I always got so frustrated when I'd get hit by an Ursula, because no matter what, no matter how many cards I send back on my opening mulligan, I always end up having songs. Ruby Sapphire, you draw into your Hellfires. Ruby Amethyst, you draw into your friends on the other side. Green Steel, you've got so many songs. Steel Song, Palooza, you've got everything. So most of the time she hits. However, in the final, if you did see Spessie's stream, you will see she was not hitting much for me. The purple steel deck that my opponent had, really strong deck, but I just wasn't finding his songs. And then after I got bored of playing the Ursula, I was like, you know what, I'm not hitting it. He started finding the songs. I was like, yo, come on, it's not fair. But yeah, I think Ursula is a must for the deck. Now, I am running the bigger version of Ursula, and this sounds a little bit shallow. The main reason I'm running it is because I have one of the promo cards from set 4 from the store champs you get for top 4, the Enchanted card. And it's so nice, it's so shiny, I love it, and I just love one of those flex cards in my deck. All the good players seem to be playing Enchanted cards in their deck. DKP's playing 4 Mauis, for Christ's sake, they're Enchanted. What? What's this guy doing? He's got all the Enchanted Tamatoas. I'm so jealous. I can't afford cards like that. Don't be ridiculous. But at least I've got one with the Ursula. It works so nice together. There is an argument for it is a little bit of a high-cost card, the Ursula Sea Witch Queen, but it's great against matches like Steel Song, which is a difficult one for me because it stops them from singing with their characters. You could just leave her on the board, just cause its threat. Addition with Ursula, and what went really well for me at the weekend, was her secondary effect. When she quests, and questing for free is huge in this deck, by the way, she can exert a character on the other board. So what I could do for a little bit of tempo here, I would quest for free, I would then challenge into a character, stick down the Go-Go. And I won one of my games by doing that. I quested for free, I racked up some damage, 4 counters, gained another 4 lore. That's 7 in one turn. That was absolutely huge for me and an absolute difference maker. So as much as she is a little bit big and sometimes she can end up in the ink, I think it's a card you definitely keep. Ursula combo is nice. We, of course, have 4 copies of Madam Mim Fox. I don't need to explain that. Being able to challenge your opponent's characters, rush in, is absolutely vital. The bounce is great with it as well, but it's just such a staple card, and it's not something I can see myself getting rid of. I do really like the bounce package. I have 3 copies of Merlin Crab. I'd argue 4 is a nice one for Crab. It really does work well, having the extra one. Being able to give plus to my characters is really useful. But once again, on the other side, I'm still trying to learn to go fast instead of playing the control character, so it doesn't hurt taking off the copy of Crab. Peter Pan Shadow Finder, that's mainly in there for Pegasus and Genie. There's not a lot of rush targets in the deck. Evasive characters in the deck that get the rush from it, so it doesn't have too much of an effect. But what's nice about it is being able to take out a smaller character on that turn 3 and then sing friends on the other side with Pan. So it does have its uses. Of course, the next turn when I'm getting the Genie out as well, I can just start challenging a little bit more. Genie's got 4 willpower, so it does tend to stick around a bit longer. Next up, we have Cloud Kicker. Now, this is a bit of a weird one for me because my original interpretation of the card was, yo, this is nuts. We love it. And the main reason for that is because when I first started playing Lorcana, I played against a deck that was playing it. It just kept popping every card back into my hand. I was like, wow, I can't do anything against this. It's quite annoying. It's really hard trying to gain tempo in the game when you can't keep a character on the board. But when I first started playing this at the weekend, I don't know, it wasn't really hitting for me. The main reason for that was the character options on the board. If I put them back in the hand of the opponent, it was giving them an advantage. Cards like Elsa or Genie, I don't want to be giving them back because Genie is giving them draw when they play it. Elsa, it gets rushed. These options aren't great. So a lot of time at the start, I was inking it. However, later on through the day, I did start to see its worth and it did start to shine a little bit more for me. What I will say, the quicker decks is where Kit shines. If you're playing against Ruby Sapphire, just stick it in your Inkwell. You don't need it. The only time I might consider it is if it's my only free cost character and I want to sing friends with it. But apart from that, it won't do too much for you. The main point of this card is if you've got a quick deck, pop the quicker cards back into your opponent's hand and then make them replay it and waste their ink. Also, it irritates green players so much because their Diablos do not stick around. And if there's any way to wind up a green player, it's not letting them get draws from Diablo. So, bear that in mind for your kit in future. Next in the deck, we've got Genie Wish Fulfilled. Controversial here, okay? I like Genie. I really, really like Genie because, one, I get the card draw. Two, the 2 question is great. And being an evasive 2/4 is just absolutely huge. Fantastic card. Don't get me wrong, it was getting hit by Brawl quite a lot at the weekend. People see Genie and they panic. It's the quick fire trigger, they want rid of it. And I don't blame them because it is a big threat on the board. This is the only thing for me though, because it goes so quickly, you're not getting the value that you get off of Rabbit. When Rabbit leaves the field, you're also getting draw as well. One of the things that I did struggle with this weekend was draw in the deck. If you did tune in and saw my final, you see what went wrong for me was I just wasn't hitting my draw cards. My opponent had a hand filled of cards. He was getting his docks. He was staying in the game, whereas I was just getting nothing. I wasn't seeing friends. I wasn't seeing Genie. I wasn't seeing Diablo. And that sucked. I needed those extra draws. So it's something I'm having a little play around with. I think at the minute, I'm quite keen on 4 Genie, 2 Rabbit, just so I've got that additional engine in there. But once again, we are sticking up the uninkables, which is a little bit of a risk. I'm currently running 10 uninkables in the deck, which isn't too bad, but having the other 2 going up to 12 can be a little bit more iffy. I think 10, maybe 11 is something I'm comfortable with. Going higher than that could be risky. So something I'm going to have a little bit of a think about. We, of course, have 4 copies of Merlin Goat. Now, one of the weird things I kept seeing this weekend was people inking their goats. Bonkers! Do not ink your goats. They're so useful. They're so good. What you need to remember is a goat on the field represents a minimum of 2 lore. You've got 4 goats in your deck. By playing all 4 of them in a game, that guarantees you 8 lore because you get the lore from the going into play, you get the lore from them leaving. If you manage to quest for it as well, you've got additional. That is so useful. If you're using your bounce package on it, it's giving you so much. Additionally, on top of that, it's a 4 strength character. It's a little bit beefy. And for decks where you need to go into challenge mode and kind of take care of their side, it's really clutch. You can sing friends with it. It's a great card, and I cannot see the deck functioning without it. I love Goat. Make sure you do not ink it. We've got 3 copies of Elsa the Fifth Spirit. Once again, I think this is a card which could be 4 of. It could be. But 5 cost is a lot for this deck. I want to be getting multiple cards out on the same turn. I don't want to be doing the one single character because that's when I'm going to start to lose tempo. Being able to turn a character, however, is really clutch. This links so well into the Go-Go to Margot strategy because they know it's going to be in your hand. The amount of times I heard, you've got the Go-Go, don't you? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe, possibly. I did have the Go-Go. Elsa lets me exert their character so I can ram my character into it, then get the damage onto it, immediately play the Go-Go the following turn. It's hard for opponents to heal their characters. Okay, if they've got Popsicle, fine, they're going to heal it. But not a lot of decks are Ruby Saph based. We've got such a diverse meta at the minute. So the cards are just going to stick there. And you know what? If they're a Ruby player and they want to B-prep their own board just to get damage off character, more fool them, because that just means I can start playing faster. I've got 1 copy of Cricky. Once again, I know. I said it, didn't I? I said, no, 4 copies of everything. If it's only a one of, it's not good enough to be in your deck. Cricky is an exception. Cricky's just nuts, bro. Like, honestly, giving a +3 to all your characters. Hello, vibes. It's so, so nice. It's like a beefier crab that sticks around, gives it to everything, and you're questing for free afterwards as well. It literally saved my skin in one of my games. I was so happy I drew into it. I was playing against a Ruby Amethyst player, and she was playing this kind of bizarre slinging deck where it was just popping damage counters everywhere, and she wasn't really exerting much. I couldn't really do anything to the deck. However, I managed to get my Cricky down on the board, and the plus didn't have any benefit. I didn't get to use that, but it being there allowed me to quest for free. She, of course, decided to take that card out and then left the damage counters on hers. I went in with a go-go, and that won me the game. So Cricky, fantastic card. The one-of is great. I've seen a couple of people go up in counts with it. Once again, a 5 cost is too much for this deck. I don't really like that too much. A shift option, fine. But I think realistically 2 would be the max I'd ever go for with Cricky. I don't go any higher than that. And then, as I said before, I've got 2 copies of Ursula Sea Witch Queen. I said before, it's a nuts card. I know some people prefer Clarabelle. I know some people like other options. But for me, it's something that I don't plan on getting rid of. It does its job. It does its job well. And it's also a high quester, which I really like. And also, 7 willpower. Bada bing, bada boom. Actions-wise. I said this at my Axion interview. I was so excited when these cards came out. Pull the lever and wrong lever. I spoke to Spessy at the weekend and he told me the cards suck. Spessy is wrong. You heard it from me first, okay? Don't tell him I said that. He's probably better than me. But no, seriously, the cards are really, really great. If you've not seen the cards before, Pull the Lever gives you the option of you can draw 2 cards or you can make your opponent discard a card. Now, it's great in certain situations because there were certain times where my opponent was clearly hinting towards their B prep or playing towards their CC shift line, and I'd wait till they started to play out their cards, try to get all their ramps sorted, and then I could hit them with a double, pull the lever, and then they have to discard both cards, and then they've got nothing in their hand. Suddenly they can't come back and they're really starting to struggle because they're top decking. But additionally, when you're in positions like I was, when you just don't have the card draw coming, being able to draw 2 out of nowhere is so useful. So glad I had that in there. Now, wrong lever is spicy once you have pulled the lever there. Wrong lever is basically the same as Kit, but just with any character. You can send a card back to your opponent's hand. I said earlier on in the video, being able to get a card off the board is really useful because you're forcing your opponent to pay more ink for it. Now, even a card like Genie, don't get me wrong, I don't want to give them the draw, but there was some times where I liked Genie going back to the hand just so they couldn't quest out with it. 4 ink is still a lot for most decks to be able to play. So it was useful for me being able to force that back into their hand. When Pull the Lever is on there, I can take that out my discard, put it on the bottom of my deck, and then any card on the board, as long as it's not got ward, I can stick onto the bottom of their deck as well. So I was mainly holding it for cards like Maui Shark or any other big threatening cards, some of the cards that are scary. But that's the kind of big change for this deck for me. It's nice Emerald Amethyst finally having a bit of control there alongside it. Yes, you've got We Don't Talk About Bruno, but it's an expensive card at 5 cost, and you know, return to hand, it's not great, is it? Whereas this for a 3 cost just does so much for you. So that combo together, really nice. We like that. Finally, 3 copies of Friends on the other side. It's got to be in there. I said before I wasn't getting enough draw. This is the card that's saving me. I really like being able to sing it with Kit, with Goat, with Fox, with Pan, with Genie. Maybe not Genie too much because I'd rather quest. But it's nice being able to get that additional card draw in the deck and just keep yourself in the running. It's not something I can see myself cutting. And in fact, I think I really need to go to 4 on it. Yeah, it can take away the aggro a little bit, but you don't always have to be the aggro deck. It's such a clutch card and definitely needs to stay in there. So, there you go. That's my deck. Now, I said earlier on the video that I was going to go through my final matches, but honestly, I don't think I really need to do that. The deck's been quite self-explanatory. As a quick run through, I think I was quite lucky in what I got in the final matches. In the quarterfinals, I got Ruby Saf DKP's list. As somebody who played that before myself, that was really nice for me because I know the deck inside and out. I know what's the struggle for it, and it was just putting my foot on the gas. The next match that I played for my semi-finals was the Ruby Sapphire Items deck, which is also a deck which I play. There was, the first game against him was a little bit rough. I didn't see any of the aggro package, and that sucked so hard. Ruby Saf, once you let them get in the game, it's hard to come back from. And because the guy managed to get his Maurice's Workshop out and he was getting all his card draw before I was anywhere near the finish line, he could just get every single answer he needed to anything in my deck. Now, don't get me wrong, the item package does have its difficulties in the sense of they're so gone on a Sapphire Core. And it's a nuts card, but against my deck, it's just no use because my cards are already low willpower anyway. So if they do waste a turn sticking it out instead of ramping, I think that's a really good thing for me. But like I say, the issue was I just wasn't quick enough at the start and I didn't get what I needed. I was able to stabilise and I caught up a little bit, which was fantastic. But unfortunately, he managed to get his Sisu's back-to-back, which just absolutely wrecked through me. Sisu can destroy this deck, so it's something you need to be really careful of. In the next game, I went full blast, full speed ahead, and I just stormed through him in about 5 minutes. And then in the next game, where it was a little bit of a tricky one, I started from behind. Once again, I didn't see the aggro package, and I thought to myself, how am I going to stay in this game? He cooked me in the first game. Yes, I managed to get up to 18 and capitalise, but he just felt too good, especially with the Sisus. So I had that worry myself of, am I in the same position here? Luckily, with my knowledge of the deck, I was expecting that there wasn't too many B-Preps, because I only run 2 copies of B-Prep in my Ruby Sapphire deck. Sisu is your main board clear here, so that's what you're focusing on. I kind of expected that for him. It was really smart in the sense of I held 2 Ursulas in my hand and I waited till we were getting up to the turn 7 area because I knew that would be coming, because I knew he'd want to stabilise my board. When I hit down my Ursula, he had 2 B-Preps in his hand and that was the only cards in his hand. So I got rid of that, and then the next turn I also got rid of the next one, the second one. So at that point he wasn't able to ink, he wasn't able to get those B-Preps off, they were stuck in his discard. Ruby Sapphire items doesn't run Maui Shark, so I didn't have to worry about that coming back. At that point, I just assumed and hoped for the best that he was the same as me, didn't have any more copies of B-Prep in his deck, and I just went on a mission of really putting my foot on the gas there. I was really cautious to make sure he wasn't able to get up to Sisu, but because he was stuck on 6 ink for a while, he just couldn't do anything. At that point, I just walked through the edge of the game. So I was absolutely stunned to be in the final. That was so big for me, and I was so happy. Of course, in the final, Spessy was playing alongside on the semi-finals. He had quite a long set against the gentleman that won it altogether. So I was stuck waiting around for a little bit. I was talking to the tournament organiser and I was absolutely knackered. I'd left my house at around 6:30 in the morning that day, and at this point it's coming up to 10 PM. I felt a bit like a corpse and I was starting to fatigue. But they got on their game and they had a really fantastic matchup. And honestly, I think it could have went either way. Both fantastic players. When it came for my turn to get into the finals, I don't think my decisions were as good as they could have been. If you did see the clip on Spessy's channel, there was an instant where I completely forgot to quest my character, played down Ursula, looked at his hand, I went, yep, that's great, over to you then, and then looked at my board and went, what are you doing? You idiot. Luckily, I still won that set, so it didn't bite me in the butt like I expected it to. But yeah, he cooked me in the next 2 sets. I did say at the very start of the video, the guy who beat me, he just played so well. What I did like about it was I don't think there was much that I could have done different. Don't get me wrong, I didn't see all the cards I wanted, and I think if I was hitting curve, I would have had a better chance, and I think I can beat him. I do definitely think that. But the better man won on the day, and it was just such a phenomenal experience. As you probably saw for the photo that I've used for the video title, I really need to learn YouTube terminology better. Photo for the video title. As you saw on the picture on the screen when you clicked on this video, let's go for that. I did get some fantastic prizing from Axion. So the prize for second place, I got a booster box of every single set 1 all the way through to set 8, which was just absolutely crazy. I'm not normally somebody that buys booster boxes. I tend to buy singles, so I've really enjoyed being able to open so many cards. It's been so exciting. I'm slowly making my way through it. I've still got quite a few bits left to open, but what I'm really excited for is this bad boy. We've got some first chapter here, which is going to be crazy. I'm a little bit undecided. I might be selling this just because not a lot of people can get their hands on it, and it could be really good value for me. I wouldn't mind getting myself a little bit of extra cash to buy a certain few cards, which I'm looking to tech into my deck, but that's for another video, I think. I've made my way through some of the booster boxes, and no enchanted yet. I've done set 8, 7, 6, and now 5. I didn't have the best pulls, some okay ones, but not the best altogether. But hopefully we're going to get that enchanted crop up. I won't keep you guys waiting for any longer because I appreciate it has been a longer video, but I just wanted to explain everything about the weekend, go through my deck list and let everyone know just how I felt overall. So for me, I do hope that you really enjoyed the video. I've really enjoyed making it, and honestly, the absolute weekend of my life. I can't wait for the next one. But anyway, please make sure to like, comment and subscribe on the channel. Any support with YouTube I really, really appreciate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye!